The straw that broke the camel's back is finally here as the Taijuan Walker era as a fifth starter on this Phillies team is finally over. Rob Thomson has announced that the highly paid fifth starter will be heading to the bullpen for the remainder of the season. And I want to break down exactly what went wrong in that final outing with this against the Astros and what this means for this Phillies team moving forward. I want to take this in a couple of different angles, speak on Taijuan Walker as a human being, why I do have a little bit of sympathy for him, but why this is a decision that simply had to be made, and take a look at the Phillies outlook from here. Now, before I dive fully into it, do want to remind you guys to make sure you are smashing that subscribe button. Just 8.7% of you guys tuning into the videos have hit that subscribe button just yet. We want to keep this Phillies Digest family growing. We have just about a month until the playoffs are here. We want as many people a part of the Phillies Digest family as possible. Got some live streams planned, a ton of new content coming out, so want as many of you a part of that as possible. Now, to bring into today's topic, it does unfortunately have to do with Taijuan Walker. This has been a lingering conversation throughout the season that we've been through the phantom IL stints. We've been through the conversations of Taijuan's not ready, the rehab. The bottom line is this guy, unfortunately, is just not a major league pitcher anymore, and Rob Thomson is willing to acknowledge that himself. That he spoke to the media today, and Matt Gelb of The Athletic tweeting out here that the Phillies are moving Taijuan Walker to the bullpen. Rob Thomson said they'll call someone up to start Tuesday in Toronto. Good chance it's Tyler Phillips. Now, to put into perspective exactly what went wrong with Tyler Phillips, with Taijuan Walker here, let's take a look at his stat line here. I want to start off with what he produced. In 6 innings of work, he allowed 13 hits, 6 runs, all of them earned, 1 walk, and 0 strikeouts in the 93 pitches that were thrown. To put that into perspective here, also from Matt Gelb, he tweets out that Taijuan Walker has allowed 13 hits and did not record a strikeout in 6 innings. It's the most hits a Phillies pitcher has allowed since Aaron Harang in 2015. It's the first time a Phillies starter went 6-inning pitch without a strikeout since Ben Lively in 2017. And he also adds that Taijuan threw a first pitch strike on 20 of the 28 batters that he faced. He still did not see positive results. And once again, to Taijuan's credit here a little bit before I kind of come down on him a little bit, I do think the guy tries. I do think he cares. I do think he has a passion to want to be good. The bottom line is the talent is just not there. And what the frustrating part about Taijuan Walker specifically is when he misses a spot, these are straight up meatballs. We're talking 86 miles per hour over the middle of play, a 92 mile per hour fastball just right down the pipe that people are just going yard with. That's the reality of what this Phillies team face, and unfortunately why the change need to be made. Now, one last point about kind of his character. I was frustrated at the postseason last year when he was kind of complaining about not getting a chance on the mound. Thank you, Rob Thomson, for not making that a reality there. I understand kind of pushback here, but one of these lines that I thought was worth noting here was specifically this area where it says, say what you want, and shout out to Mitch RT for this tweet here. It says, say what you want about Taijuan Walker's performance or the Phillies continue to run him out there, but this right here should say everything you need to know about Taijuan Walker. Asked to take one for the team when he's giving up the world, and he didn't hesitate to do so. And the quote is absolutely from Walker when Thomson asked him if he could continue pitching to preserve the bullpen. This was after the 4th inning, and he ultimately went 6 innings there. To his credit, he did kind of settle in there, but the damage was done at that point. That was an unwinnable game because Taijuan Walker was on the mound. Now, this is the frustrating part about the conversation and why the change need to be made. Is the reality is when Taijuan Walker is on the hump, the Phillies are not winning that game, and that happens all too often here. Now, to take a look at Walker's stats on the season, do want to pull up this exactly here. In 14 games this year, a .333 win-loss percentage. In 70 innings pitched, he has allowed 87 hits. That's 11.1 hits per 9 innings, a 6.5 ERA, and a 1.6 whip. That simply is not good enough, especially when adding that there's 18 home runs in those 14 games. That is a ton to be giving up. It's got to be better. There's no way to cut it. Now, for Taijuan specifically, there was a point in time in which he was an adequate, debatably good pitcher in the MLB. And I think the frustrating on Rob Thomson's part, we know the reality of the contract here, that this dude is still due $30+ million following the season. That contract is basically unmovable. There's not going to be a team that wants to take on that deal. So the Phillies are going to either have to DFA him, cut him loose, or pay somebody basically to take them off their hands. Now, the bottom line is you still got to pitch somebody every 5 days here, every 5 games. And at this point in the season, there are 5 more starts that 5th starter will be responsible for. Colby Allard has looked really good at the major league level. I've respected the way that he's battled with hitters. While I don't think this stuff is terrific from him, he's a guy that shows me a little competitive drive. There's one play that sticks in my mind with him giving up a long home run and him immediately just looking at the throw me the ball back. I want that next batter. And I love that from a guy. That's a level of passion that I did not feel from Ty, and something that they gave him a puncher's chance. Tyler Phillips, the guy who gave this Phillies team some really good innings in his first stint in the majors. It did feel like the book got out on him by the end of his tenure, and he was really getting hit around. But before he was sent down, Rob Thomson did credit to that. He thought it was just fatigue, that he didn't think this was a pitching issue with Tyler Phillips. This was something that he'd been throwing more innings than he's accustomed to. Maybe with a little bit of rest, he can get back to the form that we did first see. Let's not forget, this dude threw a complete game shutout at the major league level with this Phillies team. That's impressive stuff. If we can get anywhere near that level of production, that will be a win for this Phillies team because, as I mentioned, there are only 5 more attempts where you got to roll out through this. We are almost to that playoff push here. So you just need to eat up those level of innings. And that essentially has been the Walker purpose, is this is a guy to give rest to the Zack Wheelers, to the Aaron Nolas, to the Ranger Suarez, and Christopher Sanchez. And when you think about what this team will look like in the playoffs, Taiwan Walker is 0% a part of that equation, and that has not changed since the second this season begins. Now, to talk about the pitching staff specifically, we're really talking about a guy like Aaron Nola. That there's no doubt that that is the ace, that is the guy who is going to be the number one option. Well, probably it will be Zack Wheeler officially as the ace or the guy starting game one. Will be interesting what they decide to do based on matchups. But the bottom line is these are the top 2, 1 and 2 that you can throw out, I would argue, across the entire MLB. A couple other great names out there, pairings as well. But then beyond that is where the advantage really comes in for this Phillies team. That I don't think you can dispute how good Christopher Sanchez has been. He certainly has cooled off a little from the start of the year and since the All-Star break. Same with Ranger Suarez, although I'm intrigued by what I've seen since he's returned from injury. Not quite the Ranger that we were seeing in the beginning of the year. Let's not forget he was leading the MLB in ERA at a point in time, but still a guy that I'm confident can give positive minutes to this Phillies team. Those are the 4 starting pitchers that we should be having conversation about, and it's likely that they even cut down to 3. That I could very clearly see Ranger Suarez coming out of the bullpen, being a guy who is using more of a utility role out of there. We've seen him do it in playoffs before, where he was closing games for this Phillies team, getting big outs, pitching big stretches. I like those chances, and that's a really nice piece to have for this playoff team. But the reality is, the bats got to wake up as well. I'm recording this near the end of the opening of this Braves game. I did see Brandon Marsh just hit a 3-run home run, so maybe we can get a comeback victory. But for most of this game, this team has looked dead. And that's one of the bigger pushing points or talking points with Taiwan Walker, is it does feel like there is a vibe change when he's out there. That the team does not show up, they know it's a loss, and that is something that's infectious. So I do hope that type of mentality dies along with Taiwan Walker in his trip out to the bullpen here. But there's still things that this Phillies team needs to fix. I'm growing a concern. I don't want to do a full video at this point, but a key piece of this Phillies team in Bryce Harper, may not return to the Bryce Harper that we do know. That on the season, we're talking about in just 26 home runs, just 76 RBIs, a guy who I'm concerned about that elbow, that it doesn't feel like there's been a lot of questions about why he's wearing that brace. We haven't seen him in a home run in seemingly forever, and there was that super cold stretch that he went through. When that generally happens, he goes on an absolute tear. That has not happened, and we really have not seen the best version of Bryce Harper this entire season. For this Phillies team to reach their peak and be the World Series threats that we believe them and desire them to be, it's going to take Bryce being that guy, being that ringleader, or at least a guy that you have that threat of driving a home run in every at-bat basis. So hopefully I'm overthinking things. Hopefully that Bryce Harper is just in a cold spell right now, but that is certainly a larger concern on my brain than what it is with Taiwan Walker. So to Ty, farewell. Enjoy the bullpen. There might be a couple games where we'll be relying on him to, keep us within a blowout a little bit or something like that. But I do think that the light is at the end of the tunnel for this guy serving any sort of high leverage situation with the Phillies ever again. But to Taiwan, appreciate you for giving an effort. Not a guy that I have some hate in my heart for, just a dude that does not simply have the stuff that they require. But let me know how you guys feel in the comments. Once again, 91.3% of you guys have not subscribed to Phillies Digest just yet. So make sure you're hitting that button, dropping a like on this video, and any comments you have below. I'll be talking with you next time right here on Phillies Digest. Peace.